South Australia I was born.
Ah, heave away, haul away.
South Australia round Cape Horn.
We're bound for South Australia.
Away, away,
Heave away.
The inspiring story of Britain's maritime past has a hidden history of song.
I went out one morning there.
Heave away.
So choirmaster and singer Gareth Malone is travelling our coast to explore this unique heritage.
Hello, I'm Gareth. Good to meet you. Hi.
Oh, for a ribbon ranzo.
He'll discover the sailors' shanties that began as work songs
Shovel the snow, lads.
and grew to become haunting reminders of lost loved ones and heroes of the sea,
Clear and whole, lads, clear and whole.
capable of uniting whole communities.
Clear and whole.
To be the kind of person about whom songs are written, you know, because you went out to sea and saved lives. I mean, that's incredible.
As we hunted for the shoals ahead,
But what are the stories that lie behind Britain's songs of the sea?
I paid my way.
These songs could end up just fading away and staying on a shelf, but because these guys really believe in them and really love them, they are kept alive and kept fresh.
Sir Henry Wood's Fantasia, a staple of the last night of the proms, and a chance to celebrate Britain's proud seafaring achievements with this tribute at the Battle of Trafalgar. But for Gareth, it wasn't these stirring orchestral pieces that first inspired him.
I'll sing you a song of the fish of the sea, and we're bound for the
Instead, it was songs of the sea, captured in a book that had been passed down through his family.
So fare ye well, my pretty young girl, for we're bound for the Rio Grande.
Songs that have since fallen out of fashion.
This book has been around for the last 100 years. It's a sort of national songbook, and it's full of sea songs. And they're the sort of songs that I learnt when I was a child, my parents used to sing. And they're very different from the last night of the proms, where you get a much more sort of grandiose version of the sea. I think what's lovely about these is that there's salt in them. You can hear the wind, you can really feel that they are songs of experience. They are a little looking glass into the past. You can really understand how people lived and how they felt about themselves as people of the sea.
Gareth wants to rediscover this singing tradition, and he's starting his journey in Portsmouth. 200 years ago, Portsmouth was at the heart of Britain's empire and commerce, and nearly a third of our ocean-going trade left from these shores. Bernie Davis is a folk singer with a passion for sea shanties.
Permission to come on board.
His great-grandfather was a sailor, and his knowledge of the sea and shanties has been passed down through the family.
Little dogs through bedded years, to Sal and Kate and Kitty too. The anchors weighed and the sails unfurled. We're off to plough the watery world. Hurrah, we're outward bound. Hurrah, we're outward bound. When the wind blows hard from the north-northeast, our ship will go 10 knots at least. The pusher will once supply. While we've got grog, we'll never say die. Hurrah, we're outward bound. Hurrah, we're outward bound.
You have to realise these songs were never written in the way you'd write a piece of classical music or something,
Yeah.
you know, or even a musical song. The people who wrote them were basically musically illiterate, and many of them probably were actually illiterate in terms of writing and reading as well. So they made them up.
Hurrah, we're outward bound. Now our 3 years it is out. Very soon.
This restored sail ship, the Phoenix, built in 1929, takes a crew of just 10 people to guide its 80-ton weight along the calm waters of the Solent.
I've never been on a boat like this before. This is the biggest sailing vessel I've ever been on. It's absolutely amazing.
But back in the 1920s, a similar square rigger, the Peking, was sailed in the traditional way, with few labour-saving devices and even fewer safety features. Its sailors had to be tough, working 4 hours on and 4 hours off, 24 hours a day, for the entire length of their voyage. Keeping the ship moving relied on synchronised labour, be it raising the anchor, winding up ropes, or adjusting sails. To help them, the sailors used the sea shanties that had been sung for generations.
We'll have a go at some hand-over-hand pulling.
What shanty are we going to do?
I think perhaps if we use the old drunken sailor.
Which everyone knows.
Yeah, people can join in.
Okay, so this is...
Well, it's just like that.
Okay.
Oh, what shall we do with a drunken sailor? What shall we do with a drunken sailor? What shall we do with a drunken sailor? Early in the morning, way hey, up she rises.
Because they were work songs, shanties had plenty of rhythm, but little by way of a tune.
She rises,
We're getting slow. In the morning. Blimey. It's very invigorating, the breezes in your face and the pulling of the ropes and singing. I think, yeah, it gets the heart pumping, starts to feel a lot less green.
Hauling long ropes could involve up to 20 men. Songs for this used lots of verses and a lead singer, or shantyman, to keep everyone in unison.
You all look very nervous about this.
Songs like Reuben Ranzo.
Have you heard of Reuben Ranzo? That's my bit, the shanty man. And then the gang sing Ranzo boys, Ranzo, and they pull on Ranzo, yeah?
Yep.
This is a small ship, and we've got rather a lot of people to pull this rope. On a really big ship, the lads would hardly be singing this sort of grunt. So it's not singing like...
Yeah.
You know, I know you...
Not like I Train.
No, it's the exact opposite. So if it sounds a bit odd, you know, don't be frightened.
It's all historically accurate. It's not your singing voice, yeah.
I'm trying. Oh, poor old Reuben Ranzo, Ranzo me voice, Ranzo. Oh God!
Oh, it's harder than I thought it was going to be.
Okay. Oh, poor old Reuben Ranzo.
This song was first sung on whaling ships, but quickly became popular with British sailors.
Ranzo me boys, Ranzo. There. Hey.
I'm still smiling. No rope burns, which is good.
No, you're all right, are you?
Yeah, it's hard work on the hands, though, isn't it? I mean, it's
well,
all that sea salt.
What does Sam's hands look like? What do your hands look like?
He must have. Oh my gosh, calluses. These are songs with a real purpose, and when you're pulling on the rope, you can really feel that they're the right length, they're the right rhythm for the work that you're doing, and it just feels absolutely natural. No one's listening. We're just out here on the waves. It's great. It's very different from the sort of singing I'm usually involved in.
Sailors on the Peking had some of the most treacherous jobs in the industry. In high winds, singing shanties was the only means of working in unison. These men had to climb up the rigging to fold away sails, but even high-risk tasks like these had a shanty.
We'll save under the chin.
I think what's so tantalising for me about this is that there was an era where people sang on a daily basis for just the work songs and for each other's pleasure, and we can never ever hear that. We can never really understand what those people thought or how they felt, but we can get very, very close to it by singing the songs ourselves and being out here on the waves. And I find that incredibly powerful because it just connects you with the past in a way that I think no history book ever can.
Yes, thanks
a lot. Thanks, Skipper. Thanks very much.
Yep.
That was really good. Found my sea legs.
Thanks very much for having us.
Yeah. Lovely to see you. Oh yeah, fine. Jump.
Though shanties began as work songs, they quickly grew into something more powerful, telling the stories of sailors' lives and emotions. nowhere was this more true than in the coal industry of England's northeast. Gareth's next destination. By the 1840s, thousands of men were employed mining coal around the River Tyne and loading it onto sail ships called collier brigs. These small, fast ships ferried millions of tons of coal to London every year, and on board a unique set of sailors' songs emerged.
Morning.
Morning.
Gareth's meeting Jim McGeehan to find out more.
Hi, Gareth.
Pleased to meet you. Pleased to meet you. I'm Jim.
Son of a dock worker and brother of a merchant seaman, Jim's passionate about this area's history and its songs.
This was a very important area for sailing ships, a particular type of sailing ship, the collier brig, and there were thousands of these in this port. This was a very difficult harbour. There was a sandbar.
There's a lot of rocks out there.
A lot of rocks. Those are the Black Middens, and many ships went aground on those rocks. On this coast, 70% of them were wrecked or lost at sea in some way, sank or fires, whatever, and lost at sea in some way. 70%, and 1 in 5 of the men employed in the collier brig trade lost their lives at sea. 1 in 5.
That's a shocking statistic. What a dangerous profession.
Yeah.
Many sailors' deaths were caused by ships running aground on the rocks, despite the beacons from lighthouses like St Mary's.
Wow, oh my gosh.
Oh, it's a long way up.
That's a good acoustic. Hey!
Oh, it's great. Great place to sing. A little bit more to go.
Oh, right.
Gets steeper now.
Oh no.
You have to remember to come down backwards like the sailors did.
Oh, okay. Oh, right, we're going right into the light.
Mind your head.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Great place.
The most famous maritime story in these parts took place in gale-force winds during the early hours of September the 7th, 1838. A shipwreck was spotted by a lighthouseman, William Darling, and his 23-year-old daughter Grace. She rowed with her father through violent seas to the wreck of the Forfarshire, a cargo and passenger ship. It had broken in two, and the only survivors were clinging to the rocks. Their rescue shot Grace to Victorian fame, a cult status celebrated in song.
Had it been a man doing that rescue, it probably wouldn't have made it, and yet everyone in the country knew this wonderful song about Grace Darling, you know. And she pulled away o'er the dashing spray, over the stormy sea. Help, help, you could hear the cry of the shipwrecked crew. But Grace had an English heart, the raging storm she braved. She pulled away o'er the dashing spray, and the crew she saved.
Hooray! Yeah, very stirring. I was taught a song at school. Oh, they built the ship Titanic to sail the ocean blue, and they thought they built a ship that the water would never get through. But the Lord's almighty hand said that ship will never land. It was sad when that great ship went down. It was sad, mighty sad. It was sad when that great ship went down. Husbands and wives, little children lost their lives. It was sad when that great ship went down. Yeah, the most inappropriate tune.
Absolutely.
Clearly not written by a sailor.
No.
John, come tell us as we haul away. We were outward bound for Mobile Bay.
The danger of the sea was a fact of life for every sailor. As their collier brigs were prepared for the next voyage, they knew they might never return. And to calm their anxiety, they wrote songs called Outward Bounders. Many of these songs have been kept alive by being passed down from father to son. Jim and his group, the Keelers, are passionate about this tradition and regularly stage special performances for the public.
What's the first one we're doing?
It's called I'm Bound Away. It was an outward bounder, so the sailors would sing it when they were heading out of Shields Harbour and heading for points north or south, whenever. They would sing this to maybe their wives or sweethearts or daughters that are both. Yes, left behind on the quayside. For the sake of you, me lassie, I'm bound away, me lassie. For the sake of you, me lassie, I'm bound away. For across the sea, me lassie, I'm bound away, me lassie. Going to fight for you, me lassie, I'm bound away. Think on me each day, me lassie, I'm bound away, me lassie. For the sake of you, me lassie, I'm bound away.
This must have been a noisy place.
Yeah, I mean, a forest of masts would have existed in this harbour. I think every sailor would have a handful of songs in his repertoire that he would know.
I suppose it's like football chants today. As soon as one person starts it, everybody joins in.
Exactly, and like football chants, of course, being sung in a very male environment.
But they wouldn't have been sung on shore even, would they?
Never,
never
no.
for an audience. Always...
No. Sailors were very superstitious, and they wouldn't sing their work songs ashore. They wouldn't sing outward bounders on a homeward bound voyage, and vice versa. They were very superstitious. They wouldn't whistle aboard the ship. The tradition now of not whistling on stage for actors comes from ships.
Because of the rigging. Yes.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you whistle? Because the ship's whistle was a signal.
Possibly. It was referred to by the sailors as whistling up the devil. So if you whistled, the devil would appear and could bring all sorts of foul weather and things like that.
I should be sure not to whistle. What is it about shanties for you? Why do you sing them?
Shanties are folk songs, and I'm interested in folk song in general. But I think quite a large part of the folk song tradition in this country has turned its back on the sea shanties. They're sort of a neglected area of folk song. That's part of the appeal to me.
I love the thought of these guys out there singing songs whilst doing something so practical and so dangerous, because I think we have a view in this country of singing as something rather effete and namby-pamby, and in sea shanties and sea songs like these, there's nothing wet about them. Well, apart from the spray in your face as you sing it, you know, they're very, very manly and strong, and I just find that history really interesting.
By the middle of the 19th century, the arrival of steam power had begun to make working shanties redundant. Today we only know about the few songs that were written down, and can only guess at how they sounded. But a family in nearby Sunderland have invited Gareth to hear an incredibly rare and remarkable archive.
Hi.
Ian.
Hi Ian, nice to meet you.
And Celia.
Hi Celia. Great. You've got stuff to show me.
Yeah. That is Captain Mark Page, his son Edward, and his son Edward.
So this is your
great grandfather.
Great grandfather.
Yeah. And we have just discovered he sang sea shanties.
Brilliant. Excellent.
Captain Mark Page became an unlikely recording artist when American music enthusiast James Madison Carpenter decided to record his sea shanties in the 1920s in a mission to save these songs from extinction.
Let's have a listen to this now, shall we?
His wax cylinder recordings are locked away in Washington's Library of Congress. But by the wonders of modern technology, Washington can be brought to a living room in Sunderland.
All of those jazz. And I remember the past to put the hair and lips and traces of all the world away, all the world goes.
You can hear it better than...
Sounds like he's trying to remember the words. Wow, that's amazing. It's a real voice out of the past, isn't it?
Yeah.
So he was a captain.
He had a long career at sea, didn't he?
Yes, he did. We've got this.
Captain Page was with the natives of Shoreham, Sussex, and worked on a farm before making his mind up to run away to sea at the age of 13. Although the life was hard, he found it to his taste and eventually commanded a number of sailing ships. He was a popular and picturesque figure down on the riverside. How wonderful to have a picturesque great-great-grandfather. I mean, he would absolutely never have imagined that we'd be sitting here. It's incredible.
Listening to him. He's not famous, he's sort of not a celebrity, and yet here he is. We're listening to him. It's just, I think that's remarkable.
It's wonderful.
I think it's quite
Yeah,
remarkable.
you're really lucky to have that. It's miraculous that somebody went and recorded these songs that probably nobody thought were very important, and all we have is a little crackly old wax roll that only just about sounds like somebody singing, but there's a voice there, a voice from the past I find that amazing. When you hear the actual voice of an actual man who was on the boats at that time, it validates the whole thing. It really brings it straight to your mind in a way that no modern retelling of a song can ever do. Hearing the actual voice is something so evocative of the past.
Some of our most powerful sea songs have come from the rich traditions of Britain's fishing communities. Like the one in Filey Bay on the Yorkshire coast. During the 1800s, Filey's fishing industry thrived, enough to keep more than 50 boats busy, and even export to Portugal. But like much of the UK, fishing here has been hit by quotas and competition from abroad. Today, just a handful of Filey's boats remain. Despite the decline, the fishermen's songs live on through the Filey Fishermen's Choir.
Hello, gentlemen. Hi, I'm Gareth.
The choir boasts a wealth of retired longliners, salmon fishermen and trawlermen.
I'm Gareth. Hello.
Average age, 70.
Hi, nice to meet you.
On life's broad sea, oh trustingly, with dauntless hearts we roam. No storm we fear, the haven's near, we're sailing, sailing home. Sailing, sailing, sailing home.
For more than a century, fishermen like these have been belting out religious sea songs from a Methodist hymn book called Sacred Songs and Solos. These aren't work songs, but songs of praise, asking for protection from danger on the ocean waves.
And Jesus shall our pilot be, we're sailing home.
I want to clap, but we're in a church. I'm going to try to give you a clap anyway. Very good. Very good.
You have a fresh conductor now.
Oh, right, okay. I'll do what I can.
You do it.
Oh, gosh. You do. I'll just wave my arms and you sing.
Jesus, at thy command, for thee I would.
But Filey's fishermen haven't always been so holy. They once had a fearsome reputation for drinking and debauchery, with one local report describing their swearing, gambling, fighting and heinous crimes.
Hello, Jim.
Gareth, come in.
Thanks.
Former lobster and salmon fisherman Jim Haxby and his family have a long association with the choir and know all about the bizarre way that the Filey fishermen found God.
The Fishermen's Choir started approximately in 1823.
Wow.
A chap called Johnny Oxterby came to Filey to try and convert the hard drinking, swearing fishermen, but they didn't want to know anything about it. And they was pelted with dried skate. They chased him out of town. He slept in the field up here, and he came back the next day, did the same thing, and they conquered Farley, and that was the start of religion and of the Fisherman's Choir.
So the tradition of religious song goes right back to 1823 in Farley.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That's my great-grandfather, Matthew Oxby. In the late 1800s, he was the leader of the Farley Fisherman's Choir. I was brought up in the chapel at Farley, the Fisherman's Chapel.
Okay, so you're descended from a conductor.
Yeah.
And did you always sing? Did your parents sing as well?
Oh yes, yeah. My father's family, there were 7 of them. They all liked singing, not just singing, but what they were singing.
Yeah.
We don't know shanties, but we sing the next thing, which are hymns of the sea. We don't preach as such, but if you want a sermon, listen to the words. There's one in every verse.
It's not hard to understand a fisherman's need for faith, given the perils of the job. Jim knows of many men who've died at sea.
Can you tell a fisherman's grave from somebody else's grave?
Yes. Hey, see, you've got a cobble there.
Oh yes,
the sail.
boat, yeah.
Robert Skelton, who was lost near Farley Bay from the Cobble Mary, 1885, aged 41 years.
The water flowed on every side, no friend was there to save. At last they sank beneath the tide and found a watery grave.
If you just walk around and, you know, you see the boats.
There's an anchor there, there's a boat there.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
There are loads of them, aren't there?
Yes. With the old men that have gone before, and I can remember them by their favourite song. You know.
So when you start to sing it, you think, oh, this is...
That was his.
Terry's, yeah.
My favourite, The Haven of Rest. That's what I want putting on the grave. I've anchored my soul in the haven of rest. I'll sail the wide seas no more. The tempest may sweep, or the dark surging deep. In Jesus I'm safe evermore.
Jesus, I'm safe evermore. I yielded myself to his tender embrace, and faith taking hold of the word.
What I love about this group is there's a real sense of the triumph of the human spirit and will and passion, because these songs should and could end up just fading away and staying on a shelf, but because these guys really believe in them and really love them, they are kept alive and kept fresh, and I really admire that. And there's a look in their eye that really speaks of their life experience and their feeling for the song, and it's not the look in the eye of a professional musician, it's the look in the eye of somebody who just loves what they're doing and doesn't really care about whether you're enjoying it. Almost, it's they're singing for them, they're singing for each other. I find that deeply, deeply powerful. We got there in the end. Thank you very much.
It was on a fair and a pleasant day. Oh!
The first sea song that Gareth learnt as a child was a Scottish song called Shoals of Herring, about a part of our fishing industry where women played a major part.
Shoals of herring. Oh, we left our home grounds in the month of
Between 1860 and 1940, Scottish herring fleets were at their peak, travelling to sea for months at a time. And whilst the men were away, a huge burden of work fell on the wives and daughters they left behind. Gareth's been invited to Gardenstown near Aberdeen.
Are you Irene?
I am.
I'm Gareth.
Nice to meet you.
Lovely to meet you, hi.
Welcome to Gainsbury in the blustery.
Oh, lovely summer day here in Scotland.
Irene Watts is a folk musician who's determined to preserve the songs of the men and women of Gardenstown.
Now you're up on deck, you're a fisherman, you can swear and show a manly bearing. Take a turn on watch with the other fellows.
Born and bred here, Irene knows all about the community's unique history.
Night and day we're faring. Come winter wind or winter gales, sweat or cold, growing up, growing old, and dying. you hunt the bonny shoals o' Heron.
That was Dad's favourite song.
That's one of my favourites. Love that song. More. Another one.
Most of Gardenstown's houses have been sold as holiday cottages, but they were once home to fishermen's wives.
It strikes me that most people think about fishing industry, think about men, but the fisher women were really important as well. What did they do?
They had a huge role to play. I mean, quite frankly, the fishing industry here would not have survived without the women.
Really?
Because not only of course the men were out doing the fishing, but they did all the sort of preparation. For example, this bit along here is where they used to have all the sort of fish processing yards. And, I mean, there have been fish curers, there's a Kipring shed, and my great uncle Kipring.
What's a Kipring shed? Sorry, I'm not up to the
You know
lingo.
a kipper that you have for breakfast?
Yeah. Oh, okay,
Well,
a Kipring shed.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Most of these would have been net stores.
Right.
You know, where you'd have mended nets, and of course that was very much the sort of women's domain as well.
So they'd have just been sat out here?
Well, you wouldn't, inside. You know, it would have been all sort of strung up with nets, and they'd have been darning away and all that kind of thing. They all had their stoves, of course, to keep warm.
Yep.
And also, they had to carry the men out to the boats. The women.
What? They had to carry the men? What was wrong? Because they were paralytic from the night before?
No, but it was very important that a fisherman didn't get his feet wet or, you know, get wet before they started fishing.
Why?
Because they wore such thick socks underneath their sea boots to keep their feet warm.
Oh, I see,
But if
so they wouldn't want to get wet
They wouldn't
too
get their
soon.
wet. Because that was before the days of sort of harbours and things like that, when they would have just sort of pulled the boats up. And the women would have carried them out on their backs to the boats.
These are strong women.
Strong women, yes.
You're from strong stock.
Definitely.
Yeah, I won't make you carry me around on this tour.
Worrying about their husbands and caring for their children led the women to write emotionally charged sea songs to help them and their families to cope.
You know, we have a lot of lullabies along the coast. Fishing lullabies.
Oh, really?
It does so much more than just soothe and comfort a baby.
Yeah.
You know, a lullaby can also comfort the mother.
Yes.
And a lot of lullabies throughout tradition, not only in fishing, but they're all about anxiety and missing fathers and things like that. And the fishing ones are no different, you know, and it's one way of sort of keeping the family together. Everything will be all right. There's always that element of hope in them, you know. So.
You've got an example?
I'll sing you a wee bit one.
See.
This is a lullaby from the Fisherman's Wife. Rune my name, my blessings three. Pray for Daddy on the sea. Bonnie Benny sent to cheer. Keep my heart frae dread and fear.
Keep my heart from dread and fear.
Yeah.
Fishermen's daughters were also crucial to this community. From the age of 13, the girls of Gardenstown would pack up a chest of their belongings and travel the coast as gutting girls. Hard-working young women who earn money by gutting and packing herring, travelling from the Shetland Islands right down to Yarmouth. These girls' remarkable lives are still celebrated in Gardenstown.
So Eleanor's the curator here, and she's done loads of work. She works with all the photographs and blows them all up.
Oh, they're great.
Does talks and things for school.
Are these girls from this town?
Yes.
So you're probably related to some of them, are you?
Well, my mother's from this one.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Which one's your mother?
My mother's second from the left here.
Second. Oh, yes. That looks like dirty work. Their fingers are all...
They really enjoyed it, actually.
Did they?
It was really hard work and everything. They did enjoy it. And there was a great camaraderie between them all.
To keep spirits up, the girls would sing songs rich in the traditions of Gaelic folk music.
So it wasn't always about what they were doing.
Yes.
I think their singing was more of a social interaction.
As you're doing something monotonous, keep your brain going.
Yes.
Come you fisher lassies new and come awa with me. Fi Cade and Bulgan Gamery and Fi Inveralachi, Fi Bucky and Fi Aberdeen and all the country round, where I want to got the heron, where I want to Yarmouth tune. I've got it fish in Lerwick, I and Stornawa and Shields. I've worked along the Humber amongst the barrels and the creels. In Whitby, Grimsby, I've travelled up and down, but the place to see the heron is the quay at Yarmouth Tune. So come you fisher lassies new and come awa with me. Fi Cade and Bulgan Gamery and Fi Inveralachi, Fi Bucky and Fi Aberdeen and all the country round, but the place to see the heron is the quay at Yarmouth Tune.
It's great.
It tells a story, actually.
It does, yeah, puts you right there. Everything else I've heard have been songs that are based out there at sea, and they're men's songs, and they're quite macho, and they're to do with the business of being a fisherman or a sailor. And these women's songs are giving me a whole different perspective. It's a social history about the things that women did, how they were involved in the industry, how they brought up the children, how they worried about their men while they were out at sea. And it's a fascinating insight, because you really understand through the women's plight what it was to live in those times, and it was a tough life.
The story of the Gutting girls isn't completely lost to history books. Two of them still live in Gardenstown.
Hello.
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 Now, this is Maggie.
Hi Maggie. Hi, I'm Gareth.
This Maggie is 93.
93?
Yes.
Wow.
And this is another Maggie.
Hello Maggie.
Who is 97.
I'm Gareth. Hello. What year would this have been that you were gutting heron?
What year would that have been, Maggie?
Oh, about 1930 maybe. I was married in 1935.
Right.
15. Was away at 14. Away to Shetland.
So you went to Shetland
14.
at 14 years old.
14
first.
years old.
Was it hard?
It was hard.
Have you got any scars?
No.
No, you're okay.
The scars. The scars are right.
And I'll bet did this sting?
Eh?
Did this sting?
Oh yes, with the salt.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you had...
But did you get on with it?
You just got on, yeah.
So they get paid per barrel?
10 pence per a barrel.
10 pence a barrel?
2 or 3.
Between 3?
Yes.
3.3 pence a barrel.
The faster you got it, the more money.
Wow. When you were working, would you sing songs to each other?
Sometimes. I don't like Monday morning, I would rather stay in bed. When I'm toddling off to work and wishing I were dead. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday brings me no delight. I don't like Monday morning, I would rather have Saturday night.
Oh, very good.
I love it. I bet you felt like that.
Yes. Yes.
We had fun.
Yeah.
No money.
No money,
No money.
but good fun.
Fun.
But lots of girls together. Must have been great.
No, we just did our own huts.
Yeah.
Maggie says that they used to sing, I belong to Glasgow, dear old Glasgow town. There's nothing the matter with Glasgow when it's going round and round. But when I get a couple of drinks on a Saturday, Glasgow belongs to me.
Great
So there you go.
Many of our most enduring songs of the sea are testimony to the bravery of heroes. So Gareth's off to Whitby on the North Yorkshire coast to hear some of this music. Local singers, Kimber's Men, have dedicated themselves to singing and writing songs celebrating these heroes of the sea.
On the 21st of October, before the rising sun, we formed a line for action, boys, at 12 o'clock begun. Bold Nelson to his men did say, the Lord will prosper us this day. Give them the broadside, fire away. On board a man of war, let him die in peace. God bless you all. On board a man of war. From broadside to broadside, our cannonballs did fly, like hailstones the small shot upon our deck did lie. Our mast and rigging were shot away, likewise some thousands on that day were killed or wounded in the fray. On board a man of war, let him die in peace. God bless you all. On board a man of war.
Very good, very hearty stuff.
I'm the hero, of course.
Yeah, that's a great one. Great. What's amazing is that these acts of heroism get put into the songs, and I think that all of that mythology around it that builds up, it's what inspires people and what keeps people wanting to go to see and wanting to do that, because you hear these great tales, and when you hear them put into a song, I don't know, they have a sort of a mystical quality about them.
It was in Whitby that a famously heroic sea rescue took place, an event that united the entire community.
Hello, are you Peter?
Gareth,
Peter Thompson, who runs the local lifeboat museum, comes from a family of lifeboat men for whom the story is an inspiration.
That is beautiful.
Came out of active service in 1957.
Wow. How many men is that? 1, 2, 3, 4?
13 altogether. 10 oars on coxswain, second coxswain and bowman.
It was from this former lifeboat house, during terrible storms in 1881, that the Robert Whitworth lifeboat was launched. Its mission was to rescue cargo ship, the Visitor, which had hit rocks in Robin Hood's Bay. But because the sea was too rough, it had to take an extraordinary route.
There were 6 people in imminent danger of drowning in a storm, and the coxswain here decided that the Whitby lifeboat could be taken overland through the snowdrifts, 6 mile, and have a go at rescuing.
6 miles?
That was the Robert Whitworth, yes.
Okay. This exact kind of boat?
Yes, exactly the same. The whole thing, we're looking at between 5 and 6 ton.
Wow.
And it would be taken out of this boathouse. They pull it by men on long ropes across the bridge, and then of course you've got to get up out of Whitby. The simple story is that up to 300 men and 16 and more horses took it right overland, down the hill at Robin Hood's Bay.
Amazing.
Shovel the snow, lads, 7 feet tall. Hooves a pounding, clear and haul. Clear and haul, lads, clear and haul. Hooves a pounding, clear and haul. Captain Gibson, here our plea. 6 men's lives in peril at sea. Send the boat, oh send the boat. The Whitby Visitor is no more. Shovel the snow, lads, 7 feet tall. Hooves a pounding.
Kimber's men have written their own tribute to this remarkable rescue.
Lads, clear and haul. Hooves a pounding, clear and haul.
Fantastic, that's great. It's put me right there. Really good. That's a hell of a bass you've got there.
Thank you very much.
That's great.
It's going to be a hell of a mess when his voice breaks, though.
Yeah.
Grab the shovels.
In 1881, it took the people of Whitby 4 hours to haul the Robert Whitworth 6 miles overland on a wooden trailer. When they reached Robin Hood's Bay, time was running out for the crew of the Visitor, who'd been clinging to their boat in freezing waters. But before they could be reached, the lifeboat still had to be hauled through the narrow streets.
Harness fastened, leathers tight, ne'er anyone had seen such sight.
The group's founder member, Neil Kimber, knows the story well.
There were between 200 and 400 men actually hauling the lifeboat.
and when they get to this stage, they've got to get it down this steep hill without it running down and wrecking in the bottom, really.
Yeah.
And I mean, this series of corners here is unbelievable, you know.
Yeah.
And there was a team actually pulling cottage walls down to get the boat through. And pulling bushes over and ripping bushes up out of the ground.
Destroying old ladies' gardens. That gap there just does not look wide enough to get a boat round.
No. It's very small, and turning it on the corner is just inconceivable, really.
There's one person whose contribution stands out. That of the lifeboat coxswain, Henry Freeman. As exhaustion set in for the rescuers, it was his courageous leadership that kept them going. It remains a source of pride for his descendants.
He did do a marvellous job, and that's why we're so proud of him.
I must say, he's a big man. Look at the picture, he just booms out at you. It was a very unique act that happened. It was a community that was brought together for one purpose, and that was to save lives. And to me, that should never, ever be forgotten. You just feel so proud that you're part of that.
It took 2 attempts before the rescue was finally successful.
Well, they rowed for an hour and they picked up the crew of the Visitor then, who were semi-conscious, most of them. Some were unconscious, virtually frozen to death. And when they brought them in, some of the guys didn't even realise that they'd been saved, and they got them onto dry land and they were asking where they were, and some were still unconscious.
All for 6 men?
All for 6 men, yeah. But local men. Fishermen are very precious about their relatives and friends. Probably some of them would be related anyway. And the traditions of the sea are that if someone else is in danger, you go out and save lives.
Yeah, it's a very inspiring story.
Try again, we shall not fail. 18 men shall fight the gale. Hours pass, men hauled aboard, white horses crashing to the bay. Pull the oars, lads, 7 feet tall, waves are pounding, heave and haul.
To be the kind of person about whom songs are written, I mean, that's really to have lived, isn't it? You know, to be people still singing songs about you 150 years after your death because you went out to sea and saved lives. I mean, that's incredible.
Pull the oars, lads, 7 feet tall, waves are pounding, heave and haul. Heave and haul, lads, heave and haul, waves are pounding, heave and haul.
Fantastic. And here are the 200 people to pull the lifeboat back to Whitby.
The singing Gareth's heard has been an inspiration. But the centuries-old hymns of fishermen, the shanties from the great days of sail, and the songs of fisher wives are no longer central to the communities they came from. For the final part of his journey, Gareth's visiting a place where the tradition of sea songs continues to thrive. Port Isaac, on Cornwall's north coast, has managed to hold on to its fishing industry and its musical heritage.
It's quite calm out today.
It's lovely calm today.
Great.
You'll enjoy it today.
Where are you taking me?
We're taking you just off Burley, about a mile, and then we're going to haul a back of pots.
You're going to haul what?
A back of pots, which is what we call a back of pots. There's 25 pots in a string.
Okay.
Laid on the seabed.
Brilliant.
Crabs and lobsters.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
John Brown and his brothers are 5th-generation fishermen. Together with other locals, they still sing sea songs as part of their everyday lives.
All right. Morning.
Hello, Gareth. I'm John.
Good to meet you, John. Hi. Hi.
We're making money with this sound.
Rattling winches, oh!
Soon we'll all be homeward bound.
Rattling winches, oh!
Shanties like Rattlin' Winches, perfectly fit the rhythms and speed needed when hauling lobster pots.
Rattling winches, oh. In the hold this here must go. Yeah. Rattling winches, oh. Or Mr. Mate has told me so. Woo. Rattling winches, oh. Rattling down and stump and go. Rattling winches, oh. Woo. Rattling down and stump and go. Rattling winches, oh. Just one more rattling then belay. Rattling winches, oh. We rattle gear enough to do. Rattling winches, oh. Rattling down and stump and go. Rattling winches, oh. Rattling down and stump and go. Rattling winches, oh.
They're so inspired by their fishing songs, the men have even formed a band and regularly give performances.
There is a lot of singing in Cornwall, isn't there? It's
absolutely.
A rich tradition.
Big tradition. Goes back a long way.
We've done a lot of our Cornish songs when we started, didn't we, for the first 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And then to liven it up again, we just help ourselves along a bit on the road to singing. We went on to Shanties.
Yeah. What is it about Shanties?
Well, just get
It's
in
a
there
bit-
and
it's a bit of that.
Seems appropriate for Port Isaac.
Yeah.
Makes you think you're roughy toughy.
Right. And you've got another song, something more gentle.
Another love song. Billy's got a very lovely, quiet love song, Cornish love song.
Try a bit of that one, Bill.
I've never seen the like since I've been born. A great big sailor with his sea boots on.
When Johnny comes down the high-low, poor old man.
And awake girl,
Oh, shake her, oh, wake that girl with the blue dress on. When Johnny comes down the high-low, poor old man.
I had a little girl across the sea. She's a Bayesian booty, and she says to me,
When Johnny comes down the high-low, poor old man.
and awake girl,
Oh, shake her, oh, wake that girl with the blue dress on. When Johnny comes down the high-low, poor old man.
Did you ever see the old plantation boss with a long-tailed filly and a big black horse?
When Johnny comes down the high-low, poor old man.
And awake girl,
Oh, shake her, oh, wake that girl with the blue dress on. When Johnny comes down the high-low, poor old man.
Hi!
Ah, okay. Short and simple. It's not genteel, is it?
These men continue to write songs inspired by their rich seafaring history. Like the tragic story of neighbouring village, Port Quin. 300 years ago, a violent storm brought devastation here when the men of the village were drowned at sea. Port Quin has been haunted by the events ever since.
Here we are. You can still see the old wooden lintels over the doorway here.
Today, just a short distance from the port and covered in bushes, lie the relics of this old community and its handful of ruined cottages.
So what's this?
It's on the market.
Going cheap, yeah.
Yeah, it's
nice.
just 2 or 3 old abandoned cottages here, Gareth. And I mean, you see the old fireplace there, which would have been on the upper floor. But I think there's about 2 foot of debris in here now.
Yeah.
But this is part of Port Quin, which was abandoned over the years. There was a big traumatic disaster here in around 1698 when the fleet set sail as they did every day, and the entire fleet was wiped out by a northeasterly gale that came in and over the course of about 2 hours and just completely sank the whole fleet and left 24 widows in the village in one day.
Gosh.
Yeah. So maybe in one of these old cottages every day a boy would come past, maybe delivering things to the village, maybe, I don't know, delivering milk, delivering groceries from nearby Port Isaac, and would have seen an old lady sort of sitting here looking out at that window and it still had a bit of glass in there and wonder why she looked so haunted and what was the matter with her. And that might have been the last widow that was left from the great storm of 1698.
Nice idea.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
Why do you look, widow woman? Why do you stare out at me? It's a secret you keep in your heart, buried deep, of a boy on the bed of the sea. In Port Quin there's a clouded glass window panes cracked and frames dusty dried. For the boy that drowned lies in Mole's Island Sound, the last widow still drowning in tears.
It's lovely. We brought it to life, thank you. They sound as they do, and it has the power that it has because they are from here. It's like locally sourced food. You know, it tastes better because it's from a particular area, and it really feels like that the hills around here are alive with the sound of people singing sea songs and shanties. It's great. It's very potent.
It's the end of Gareth's journey, and he's been invited to join John Brown and his band for a favourite Port Isaac ritual, Friday night Songs of the Sea.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Lovely to see you. We're the Fisherman's Friends, and it'd be lovely for us to sing to you some of our sea shanties and songs of the sea tonight.
In South Australia I was born. Heave away,
For Gareth, the celebration of our songs of the sea is the perfect way to keep them alive.
all the way out rolling. Heave away, all the way out there.
You cannot put these kinds of songs in a little jar and put them on a shelf. It's not a museum. It's not. It's not dusty. It's very vital. They've got to be brought out and sung by vibrant individuals in the community where they belong.
The songs that we sing, they were singing 50 or 100 years ago, sort of thing, and we still love them, you see. So these children being introduced to it this way, you never know, when they get older and middle-aged, they'll remember all that, and they may try doing it themselves, harmonising and singing songs of the sea.
One thing creased me mind. Heave away, haul away. Busily, Miss Nancy Blair behind. We're bound for South Australia. Haul away, rolling.
I'm really proud that we in Britain have these great songs. Yes, there are wonderful songs from all around the world, but we have something that's really great here, and it's wonderful to see people enjoying them and just singing for the sheer love of singing it, for the sheer love of their shared cultural heritage. And these guys really get something from singing that is what I crave from singing. There's something spiritual about it, there's something sort of emotional, and there's something fun as well about it, and I think it's wonderful.
South Australia round, we're bound for South Australia. All the way out, rolling. Heave away.